Hey guys, what's up? So I've been on PS5 for guts of almost 2 weeks now, but the biggest difference in GT is the kind of lobbies I've been getting into. So thinking about last week with the races at the Nürburgring, for example, this is where I was getting into top split for the first time because I knew the people in top split, and I was getting into lobbies with a lot of very recognisable names. So I just thought I'd share this one race I've had recently at Monza. I think this is top split because you see people like Slayers and Vegas in here. Although this was quite late at night, so potentially I would have been a good bit further down the order in starting in this race, but going ahead, so I've started here in 6th position, which is pretty good for me being in these lobbies. It makes me very excited to be here and be on pace with a lot of the people that I'm getting at the time. So well, there you see the first incident, somebody goes off, so I gain a free position there. Very, very easily done. Trying to bump draft Scorpo up here, up the order, so we can get ahead and join the pack at the front. But every time I've been in some of these races, because there's people I know and people I know to be very, very, very quick, it feels a lot like there's a lot more pressure. The lobbies are sweatier, the races are more intense, and they're a lot more stressful. Oh, there's me almost trying to go for an overtake. I actually went over to the side there because I didn't really have anywhere else to go. He broke earlier than I did, but I knew I didn't have the momentum there, obviously, to finish that move, so I fell back into his slipstream. And now I'm doing the same thing. Rather than trying to overtake him here, with the momentum I had, I'm trying to bump draft him up further. But yeah, this is an example of just a race that I thought has gone quite well, and I'm quite happy with where it ended up in the race, to be honest, because if you threw me into one of these lobbies a month ago, I might have just been completely off pace and drowning and falling to the last place. And there you see Vegas has picked him up a track limit penalty from the chicane. Very, very, very easily done. That was frustrating me to bits when I was doing time trial for this race. So the first four there in front of me are all quite sort of lined up close-ish together, although you will see Slayers just drive further and further and further away from the rest of this throughout this race. Now there's Vegas having served his penalty, and I've overtaken him. Very, very happy to see him. He's a name I know a lot from hanging out in streams and stuff like that, and I know him to be very quick. So there's people like that I know, and who's just names I know and who I've spoken to in the past and stuff, and I'm very excited to be in these races and finally racing with some of these people. But yeah, going further along here, I'm just sitting comfortably in 4th. I've only gained 2 positions because of mistakes now, though. That's one person went off track, and then there's Vegas who had a penalty, and I was close enough to him to take that position. One thing I'll say about the PS5 in particular to this game is the difference it's making to my driving is incredible, because many of you know that I'm a controller user, and I've always used the motion sensor as a method of steering in Gran Turismo. It's ever since Gran Turismo Sport. I've been using that since the beginning of that, so end of 2017, you're talking nearly 5 years. Oh, there's Weasel going off a wee bit, and I nearly collide into him. So swiftly drive around him to take that position. I'm sitting up in third now, absolutely crapping myself because I'm sitting in a podium position in this lobby. So right now my hands are sweating, my controller's wet, and I'm scared I'm going to lose grip of it and slip my thumb and hit a button I'm not supposed to hit. Well, that does happen later in the race, but we'll see. Now there's me doing the same thing with Scorpio. I'm bump drafting him up here to try and get him. My thought here is, because I well had the momentum to take the position off him, and then he wouldn't have been able to take it back off me before this chicane, I don't think. But I was trying to bump draft him with the idea of getting me and him further up to catch Slayers, so it would be an all-out battle for first. But obviously those sorts of plans don't work out. And he has a little mishap here, and then I managed to get the run on him and do an overtake here. Momentarily, shall I say. He goes back in and goes under my slip. So yes, the PS5, because I'm on controller and I've always used L2, R2 triggers for throttle and brake, I have for many times been frustrated with trying to learn trail braking and being able to do it properly. I can't feel how hard or how softly I'm braking into corners, and anytime I've tried learning the technique, it just is very difficult to pull off on a hand controller for me. But the PS5 is where it's making the biggest difference for me. With the haptic feedback and the controllers, I can so much more easily go right. I don't want to brake at full pressure here. I want to brake partially, or I want to trail brake where I'm going full on the brake and then slowly lifting off. I can control it in so much more of a measured way now than I ever could before in PS4. So now I've actually replicated some. Whenever I see a top lap time and see them braking in such a way, I'll be trying to emulate it. So over the past week and a half or so, this technique has been getting a lot smoother for me, and I'm getting a lot more used to it now. If you are watching the braking specifically here during this race, you'll see it's not perfect. There's sometimes I'm wanting to try to apply 50-60% brake pressure, but I'm actually applying almost all of it, or like 80 or 90%, that sort of thing. So it's just going to take a little more practice for me to dial in. Having said that though, maybe it's not much point because I'll be on wheel very soon. However, I'll just call the note. The little mishap I just had has lost me some time. That's what's losing me second place right now, because Scorpio has the run on me, and there he is making an overtake on this corner. Now, it's a bit of a drag race. I don't have the run on him, and he doesn't really have the run on me. Maybe at this point I felt I was too far ahead to back off and get into his slipstream, and then I noticed Weasel coming up. So suddenly we're 3 wide going in here. There were a couple of wee tiny bits of collision. I'm shitting my pants right now going into here going, what on earth is going to happen? But I just try and stay back. Little bump to Scorpio, unintentional, but we all get out of there relatively clean. And I'm back in third now, so I'm happy. Scorpio's got the overtake back on me from the beginning of the lap. But I'm happy. I'm still sitting here in third in this lobby. I can't believe myself, you know, that this race is just really sweaty for me. But yes, somebody once said to me quite recently, about when I was talking about this thing with the controller and the difference it's making my braking and my driving and stuff, and they said to me, man, you're already so quick and you're only learning trail braking properly now, like, this is insane. What difference is there going to be in your driving like 6 months from now? So this is what I'm really excited about. I'm getting fairly good lap times these days, and also having the pace and consistency when I've practiced the track enough, that is, to keep up with guys in these sorts of races. So I'm very, very, very happy with this. I believe this is a showcase, this race, compared to almost 3 months ago when I started streaming. I believe this shows quite a rate of progression already that I've been making in the last few months. Now there you see my mistake. I got a wee track penalty from the chicane. So I'm sitting down back and forth now, and I'm going, shit, I've got a penalty to serve here. Am I going to lose another position, or what's happening? But I'm doing my best here. I'm just carrying on. So far this race has been very, very mistake free. I've just been being very cautious. Now there I gave him an accidental bump, but overall in those situations when I'm in a slipstream with somebody and we're going into a braking zone, I've been a lot better at keeping behind somebody and preventing any collisions accidentally from occurring. So there I served my penalty and lost another couple of positions. I didn't do so well with checking who was coming up behind me whenever I was unghosting. I should have been maybe adjusting where my car was slightly there, but no issue. There were no accidents there anyway. So I'm coming along and keeping up tight with this pack in the front of me now. Slayer, as you can see, has driven well away by this point on the map. He's several seconds ahead of second place. But here we are coming in now and again, and I've chosen the 150 board. Usually it's, what, 120, something like that. 110, 120, you would normally start braking for that corner, but I chose 150. If I'm very close behind somebody in the slipstream, I'll choose the 150 board to start braking, and that will generally be safe enough and won't go into the back of somebody. That said though, I'm surrounded by very competent drivers, so that may not be the case for yourselves. Same thing again, I'm keeping the car cautiously back just to avoid any accidents going into Bennett here. And there's Murica serving a penalty, so I'm back up to 5th. Swapping positions quite a few times in this race. It was actually very exciting while it was all going on. Now, instead of bump drafting him up to get us both back up the pack, I correctly or incorrectly decided to use my momentum and see if I could make the overtake in the straight, which you see now I have. And he's realised I've got it on him, so he pulls back in behind me for my slip. You see there I'm braking a little bit after the 150 board because I'm not directly behind somebody else. And that's an example of that corner, Lesmo 1. You can see my braking's very sort of shaky and not very smooth there, but that's an example of a corner there where I'm trying to only apply maybe 60% brake pressure going into the corner. So that's an example there of me trying a slightly different braking method from what I was used to before, but with practice that will start getting a lot smoother, and this is going to increase consistency in my pace overall. I'm very, very excited about this. There's Weasel again serving a penalty, must have been. So I go back up and take third. Sitting back at a podium position now, it's woof. Although a fair distance now behind the first two, Scorpio's pulled away quite a bit and he's sitting on his own because he's nowhere near Slayers. But I'm sitting here now in third, just happy as anything. If these three laps can go without any more incident, I might get a podium. And that's all I'm thinking. Getting over that chicane nicely. It's so tough going over that chicane without triggering a track limit penalty, especially when you're time trialing. But in the race, you must just sort of be approaching corners a little more cautiously because you're not going full out hot lap mode. So I think that one penalty earlier was the only one I had in this race, so it's very, very good for me in terms of mistakes that weren't made and incidents like that. Whoa, very, very shaky going over that curb coming out there. And there's Murica coming up behind me now, giving me a wee bump. Maybe if he's trying to overtake me, he's going to try and save it for this home straight up here. I don't know. Either way, I was grateful he bump drafted me. So I'm blaring up here now, fully aware that he's just behind me. And I'm well aware that I'm going to lose this position. So there he goes. And that was actually a fatal mistake of mine on that straight there. I don't know if you noticed, but all that was my hands being really sweaty and my thumb slipped and hit the square button, which for me is downshift. So I momentarily downshifted and he just slingshotted past me. He must have gone, whoa, why did he suddenly slow down? But that little tiny mistake is potentially what cost me a podium in this race. So that is an example of something that I'll occasionally do on accident, that I'll be very glad to get away from controller. Because that'll well, you see it there, it loses me positions in race when that happens. And for some reason it's slightly easier to do that on the PS5 controller rather than the PS4. So yeah, and then I'm going into the last lap here, absolutely sweating the bollocks off, just oh, forgive that, I momentarily switched to a different car's point of view. Whew. So yeah, I'm just really happy with the way these races have been going. I've been enjoying them so much, getting into lobbies with people I know and people I recognise and know to be quick. There's top split lobbies in another race of this. In another race here earlier in the week I was in the same races with Stephen Scott, with Turbo Hulk, with Wind as well. So no, I'm getting up here. I'm just thrilled that I'm racing with these guys and I'm keeping pace and I'm hopefully starting to make a little bit of a name for myself. There we go, bouncy bouncy. And one final turn to get me to finish. Now, this is just amazing. The differences in racing in PS5 compared to the PS4 have just been blowing me away. And I almost go wide on that corner there, and you see me come to a nice finish in 4th place. So there we have it anyway. There's an example of one of my races I've done lately, which has been really fun but really sweaty, and I hope that shows some progress on my part. So there you have it. Enjoy, guys, and I don't know what else to say. Just thanks very much for everyone who's been checking me out and coming into live streams and all the rest of it. Hopefully I'll be doing a lot more videos like this and increasing the quality and editing of them and everything like that. So stick around, and hopefully I'll get to work on more of these whenever good races happen and things come into my head that I want to share. So yeah, thanks very much everybody anyway, and I'll see you all very soon.